And as we mentioned, the federal government is advising Canadians against any non-essential travel, international travel during the pandemic, and also banning cruise ships from stopping at Canadian ports for the next several months. CTV's Ben Mildred joins us now live from YVR. Ben, what are passengers saying about the message they're getting from border guards?
Well, people arriving here are telling us they're getting very little, if any, information from CBSA agents about what is expected of them now that they are back in Canada. BC's top doctor says it is a requirement that they self-isolate for 14 days, but arriving passengers say that information is not posted anywhere, and nobody in the customs area has explained it to them. Anybody heading to the United States Friday morning could drive right up to U.S. Customs with no lines, just hours after federal health authorities suggested people avoid crossing the border.
Postpone or cancel all non-essential travel outside of Canada. This means reconsidering your vacations, going to sporting and entertainment events.
BC's top doctor has urged anyone arriving back in Canada to self-isolate for 14 days, even if they've just made a quick day trip across the border. You plan to go into self-isolation for 14 days. That's what the government said people coming back from America should do.
I don't know how they answer you these questions.
The feds also announced a plan to restrict international flights to certain airports in Canada, but did not say which ones.
To concentrate our precious resources for our border services officers and for our public health officers to ensure that they can do the important job the Canadians require of screening all arriving passengers.
At Vancouver International Airport, passengers arriving from overseas say they didn't notice any additional screening while passing through Canada Customs.
It's insane. All of the airports have been really spot on. This airport, nothing. And yet the media is telling everybody that they need to be careful, and there's nothing actually happening in the airport.
Others say family and friends have kept them up to date on what's happening while they've been away, including the recommendation to self-isolate when arriving back in Canada.
Aside from figuring out how we're going to get food, we're ready to self-isolate.
The transportation minister also announced cruise ships with more than 500 people will be denied access to Canadian ports until July 1st at the earliest, a devastating economic blow for Vancouver tourism operators.
So, Ben, given the travel advisories, are all the airlines there still flying internationally?
Yeah, flights are taking off from here to all over the world tonight. Dr. Bonnie Henry says people who work in essential industries such as aviation with flight attendants and pilots or cross-border trucking will be exempt from the 14-day self-isolation requirement. Mi Jung?
Thank you, Ben.